everyone, how you doing out there? I'm Selena. Did you know that? For who is Jesus today? You know, if there's something about me that hasn't changed really much from childhood, is I like to question things. I'm sure a lot of you out there do as well. And if there's something that has always been on my mind a lot in life, from childhood up to now, is how people say one thing but do something else. The world is full of double standards. And you see, I wouldn't dare say the world isn't full of standards. There are a lot of standards, different standards and cultures and religions, right? And ideology, right? But do people fully uphold these standards? So I can say I have observed certain things about certain, types of movements or persuasions, for lack of a better term, at the moment. And I'm going to mention a few of these. And you know what I love about Jesus is he called out hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. Often, dealing with the scribes and the Pharisees, also saying one thing, putting standards on people that they don't really carry out themselves. The world's full of that. I remember a season where animal activists were really coming down hard on those who wear furs. You slay the animal, and now you decide to keep yourself warm. Now, this has been happening throughout civilizations, right? Before all of the, industrialization, going back in ancient times, not only did people eat animal, but they also stayed warm. So then you come into the 20th century, 21st century, and now you have, this animal activism. I personally do not like fur coats, okay? But when you think about it, this is not my point. The same people that are against you wearing a fur coat, if you so like, and they have, some people have been actually attacked who have worn fur. I do remember that climate also. But then I like to ask these people, can you look down at your shoes and can you tell me if your shoes are leather? Because if your shoes are leather, you may not be wearing a fur around your neck, but your shoes were still made from a deceased animal. So it may not be fur, but what you wear on your feet is still coming from the cow, right? Moo. Yeah, the cow. Okay, and I guess maybe some other of animal hive, maybe even buffalo, I'm not sure. Okay, but if it's not plastic and it's leather, then wouldn't you be considered as guilty as the one who wears the fur to stay warm? Okay. Veganism. I actually find a vegan diet sometimes a good option and alternative to eating animal flesh. And I have enjoyed some delicious vegan dishes. But I'm not vegan, but if I want to eat vegan, why not? Why not? But for the veganists out there, and you got some real concerns about those who consume meat. My question to you as well is, are your shoes or is your pocketbook, okay, made from leather, because that says it all right there. That's not a man-made substance, right? A leather also comes from the animal, right? The animal skin. Okay. I want to hit something else here. Now, I would say as a Christian, when you hear the word of pagan practice, you don't want to be around people that are eating up animals and things that they are sacrificing to idols. That is against the word of God, the plan of God. But at the same time, are we called to totally just shun and run away from the pagans? Or are we open to be led at times to run right towards them with the love of Christ and the gospel? Because if you're going to hear a pagan all the time, and when you hear a pagan, you just say, oh, it's time to go, time to go. But what about the gospel? Aren't we called to take the gospel to paganness? And for some who say, I'll have nothing to do with a pagan or anything that a pagan does, we need to here's something to think about, though. When you go out and eat in a restaurant, have you ever gone out to eat in a restaurant that is a Chinese restaurant, a Thai restaurant, Cambodian restaurant? I'm saying that because in those particular populations, there's a high percentage of Buddhism. I mean, you go into the Chinese restaurant, right? Let's be honest, guy. I'm not saying something. I'm not trying to say things about Chinese people. One of my favorites of foods growing up, I ate a lot of Chinese food. I like Thai, and one of my favorites is Cambodian food. But you see, you go into the restaurant and you see this big Buddha right there. Sometimes you see incense. Well, even if you're not sure what is their religion, that has to catch your eye, whether you are a Christian or not. Well, when you sit down to enjoy those delicious Asian dishes, it's made by the hands of many that most likely believe in Buddhism. Or when you go to any restaurant, there are people that are preparing your food who very well can be those who have a spirit of Antichrist. Of course, there are godly people that are working in all of these restaurants too, but we know there's a whole lot who aren't. And they're on the side of the pagans. Let's be honest. They don't know Jesus, and some of them are very upfront about what they don't believe concerning God. Are you going to say, don't make my sandwich? You're a pagan. I don't want no pagan making my sandwich or stir frying my rice. Okay. Now let's do another one. Animals. How do animals keep giving us food? Well, in the animal kingdom, they know they are male and female, Yes, they do. Do you know how I know? Because who out there eats chicken and lamb and goat and ribs? Who just eats meat? Okay? Well, we are grateful that the animal kingdom has continued to keep mating and making babies in the natural order. Because if they were to change and stop and say, hey, I'm no longer attracted, if the male goat says, I'm no longer attracted to the female goat. If this is going on for a long time, people, anybody out there like goat, like curry goat, okay, the goats are going to go extinct. Who loves lamb? I do. Well, the sheep got to keep mating with the sheep. Okay. Even the fish. How do you think the fish got in the sea? Oh, I love fish. Fish is one of my favorites. So, case in point here, if the animal kingdom starts to say, well, we no longer want to do the natural order of things, and they start to, turning away little by little, we're going to run out of food. We're going to run out of even eggs. Eggs are kind of scarce. You see, do we think about this? Come on, people. You know that if we don't have animals, mating with the opposites, male and then female, then, we're going to have, and they're going to become extinct. And if you're not a vegan, what will you do? Because, you see, we do need animals to mate with each other. So we can keep reproducing. Something to think about, because the world, like I say, is full of double standards. And who is Jesus today? Well, he was very open to people of his day as God walked the earth in flesh, because Jesus can recognize a hypocrite. It's not, it wasn't hard for Jesus, people washing outside of things, washing their hands, but inside their hearts is not clean. Yeah. I mean, Jesus calls you out when you are a phony, a hypocrite, when you live double standards, when you clearly place a standards on others that you're not living out. And then if you were to dig deeper and go into the interior of things that people are saying and upholding, it just doesn't really hold up to reality. You can like and subscribe. Until next time, shalom.